Hi, I'm Richie Mackay.
And I'm Davey Bolt, and you are listening to the Wrong Bias podcast.
And on our 2024 Boxing Day show, we are joined by the new WBT Scottish Open champion, Mr. Jason Banks. Christmas is the time for mince pies, baby sham and a bottle of Blue Nun. And of course, our very own Christmas elf, Mr. Jason Parkinson. We touch on the World Championships at Potters, and the Premier Threes makes a welcome return. Many thanks to our podcast competition sponsor, Bowlsware Direct, and to our streaming sponsors, Brilliant Auctions, Renton Wealth Management, Pentland, Precast.co.uk, and of course the Pocket Rocket, Lean to Succeed. As always, thanks for your support and have a good 2025. And welcome everybody to our Boxing Day show, part 2. That's all I'm saying. We hope you've all had a lovely Christmas day. Loads of turkey, loads of spotty dick, and wish you all the best for 2025. In our last one, we featured Mr. Rippy, who's since that show went on and done the PBA qualifier double bubble. Qualified in the singles and the pairs. Well done to him, and best of luck down at Potters. Right, mate, let's get the key question out of the way first. Heroes, Celebration, Quality Street or Roses? Not as if I've asked you before.
What are you asking us this again for, it?
It's like it's Groundhog Day.
Those of you'll have to listen to the competition later on just to find out what we're talking about. But anyway, getting back to the chocolates, I would say Celebrations and definitely Roses over Quality Street. Favourite in Celebrations, which will be completely unpopular, is the Bounty. And in the Roses, I do like the caramel ones. I have to say, I'll say it again. When I was younger, I didn't used to like the strawberry and orange creams and even the coffee creams, but over time, I think I'm starting to like them. And there's not many chocolates go spare, which is why I'm a fatty.
Well, now that I've retired, I must be suffering from old anxiety because I'm sure we've had this conversation before. For those of you who are not aware, I forgot to hit record. And we sat and started this podcast some 40 minutes ago talking to ourselves. So that's why Mr. Bolt is having a go at me.
It's been a lovely chat though, Rich.
It's been a lovely chat. Just say, I know what you're going to say next. Next, you'll be saying about the Celebrations Advent calendar, where the first 3 days were bounties. And I hate bounties, and you go,
well, it's a bit like pineapple on pizza, mate. People whinge and moan about it, but the bounties are the best ones. Don't care what anybody says. Anyway, I think you're going to ask us about the BPL over in Australia.
I am. The next one's the BPL. Anybody who's watching the BPL, I caught it the other day, and Paul Foster and Alex Marshall were playing, and you know what it is? There was not one person in the seats. Anybody watching? I'm looking, I'm going, if that was in the UK, there'd have been comments left, right and centre flying on saying, where's the crowd? Where's the crowd? Where they're all at? Like, what's going on? And I'm two of the game's finest players and anybody watching.
All right.
Wouldn't have happened in Potters, been sold out.
Why there'd have been whinging left, right, and centre. And if I hadn't calmed down since the last podcast, I'd have probably had another rant. But it's Christmas, and I'm cool as a cucumber today.
We did run a Premier Threes, which was mentioned about 35 minutes ago in our first recording. When I forgot to record, Jacqueline Henderson, your fault. The revamp of the Premier Threes. Many thanks to the IBA, Peter Thompson, and the BDA for letting us stream it. It went well. It was at your club, mate, South Shields Centre. Great. There was heckling, there was wine, the Prosecco was flowing, and it was a good night, mate, wasn't it? Especially for the club as well. I know I'll touch on something a little bit afterward, but it was a
great night. From my point of view, working for the Bowls Development Alliance, we're supporting the English Indoor Bowling Association to get not only Premier Threes back into the mainstream. Those who do remember it will have watched it on Eurosport, but there'll be a lot of people who don't know what Premier Threes is, because it was pretty much utilised with all of the top players in various areas. Bit of an invite competition, but it was televised. It was great to get it on TV. The purpose for us with the Bowls Development Alliance is there's a QR code on the videos for anybody who does go on to watch them, or if you check out posts on Facebook, the Bowls Development Alliance have got a link on there as well. get on the link, let us know that the club might be interested in hosting a night. And just for an example, on Saturday, some of the players took in prizes, bottles to put into a raffle for the club. And all in all, I think with food, drink, the raffle, and other bits and pieces, there was about 550 quid revenue made on the night, which, you know, in this day and age now, if the club's closed, like ours is on a Saturday, it's frustrating, but it's understandable because obviously the cost of electric and heating and everything now, you can get your club open and get people socialising and coming in. You can literally, if you've got 8 rinks, run a 32 singles competition in Premier 3 style, and I reckon you'd get it done in about 3.5 hours. We only used 4 rinks on Saturday, and we had 16 and did it in about 2.25 hours. That was that. Really good. It's a great format, and the atmosphere was really, really good.
Yeah, it was, mate. And I just went home and fell asleep in the chair because I was brayed out. God, it was non-stop. Didn't have a minute to myself. My fingers were on fire.
Well, it was good, and I think the fact that I did the live draw there and then in front of everybody as well created a bit of atmosphere. The opening gambit before we went live on the stream was I spoke to everybody and just says, right, players think that they're going to be standing on the mat, it's going to be quiet, then they might as well walk out the door now. We want you to make noise, we want you to heckle, we want you to support. No swearing, obviously, no derogatory stuff, but just create a bit of an atmosphere. And the guys at the club certainly didn't let us down. There was horns, there was mocking on the green, there was as balls were getting let go of, a few shouts here and there, and it was all just a really good night all in all.
Yeah, very relaxed. Obviously, if anybody did watch the stream or stayed on for we were going to run a 1-ball shootout. Unfortunately, a club member took ill during that, and sadly we cut the stream out. Our sympathies do go out to his family because it was bad news. So it was a little bit of a sad way to finish the night. Big shout out to Ian McLean on his Hong Kong Fooey double, winning the classic singles and the pairs with, who was it? Yeah, there we go. See, I'm not going to say what we said the first time around.
You're not getting away with it because you read a right process of it before you just press record. So it was Paul, it was Jimmy, it was Bob, wasn't even his surname at one point. Call yourself Stato after that. Good job, Army.
Oh dear, I can't believe I didn't record.
The amount of times you've stuck me in bloopers, you get away with note.
That would have been the longest blooper ever that one. I tell you, 40 minutes. Unbelievable.
35 minutes of silence.
It was daylight when we started. It's darker, you know. Also, congratulations to everybody who was being selected for the men's and ladies international series due to take place at Lionelli. We love it. Another box ticked for you, mate. Skip's rolling doors in the big team.
Nice surprise. I played outdoors, Skip, for 3 or 4 years, so I've been there. It's just a little bit more edge on the indoor one.
Yeah, and of course, well done to Mr. Hartley, who's second man in your ring. So I will buy him a pen for Christmas. Buy him a Ladbrokes. We'll nip in the Ladbrokes and nick a Bookie's pen, or an Argos pen, or an IKEA pencil.
We'll wrap a bit of white tape around it and write wrong bias on it, and then it'll look
We'll sponsor that. Right, folks, hope you enjoy the show.
Well, it's Christmas time, and as like most Christmas traditions, some people have sprouts. Richie actually looks like one at the minute. But our other Christmas tradition is having Mr. Parkinson on the show, and we always get him on, have a pre-chat about the World Championships, and we'll have a little bit of a chat about what's going on in the bowls circles. So, welcome to our Christmas show again, Mr. Parkinson.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Merry Christmas, everybody. So just like to state, I mean, Poddington peas and Marifat peas have always been my favourite, but unfortunately people can't see Rich. I might take a screenshot, actually. People can't see Rich, and he's put me off peas for life.
That pea's definitely going mouldy with that hat.
I think I look like a bit of a garden pea, actually, because quite thin.
Yeah, it's a weird crap.
I just called.
We'll start with just a general roundup first, Jason, before we move on to a bit chat about the World Championships as well. But how's things going on the Great British front?
Yeah, so doing all right. So as you know, we set up it as kind of like the UK family pairs to begin with. Went down quite well. We did that as a bit of a gap filler, to be honest, where certain national governing bodies are changing the rules, and that's entirely up to them. You know, they'll change their rules to suit them. I don't have an issue with that. And I was just asked to gap fill. UK family pairs went really, really well. So we kind of went out to quite a few bowlers, and we looked at how we can rebrand to make it maybe slightly more fit for purpose. and how we can. We're always there trying to offer something different. There's lots of things out there, as you know, with bowls. Lots of the same old, if I'm being honest with you. But there's still horses for courses where it doesn't matter whether you agree with national governing bodies or not. There's always going to be people that want to play local bowls, county bowls, national bowls, and play for that very first national title. Or even some people want to play for their 5th national title, 10th national title, and that's fantastic. We just wanted to maybe just try and just push the boundaries and just see what is possible in the Northern Hemisphere. So people always, and as you guys know with the streaming, people always look at us as you need to be a bit more like New Zealand, you need to be a bit more like Australia. And if I'm honest, I totally agree. But the business side of it doesn't work at the moment, because Australia, for years, they work as a business. Even though they are a club, they work as a business. We still work as a club, whether in England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, they still run as clubs. Australia will always have the luxury of having superb facilities. And they are superb facilities, aren't they? But a lot of their money comes in through either accommodation at Gorilla and things like casinos, where there's a lot of money coming in through gambling that's put back into the sport. Unfortunately, if I'm going to stick my neck on the line, I don't think we'll ever get to that level. But we need to do the best we can. We need to somehow just try and do the best we can. So we went probably a little bit ambitious to do this Super Fives League. I knew it was always going to be ambitious, but sometimes dreams do work. Just wanted to offer something a little bit different format, slightly quicker, a lot more money at stake. But at the end of the day, if you want more money, you've got to put a bit more money in. And that's what we were looking to offer at the time.
Judging by what you're saying there, is it not going ahead now?
So, no. So we've literally, in the last 24 hours, we've been looking at some of the entries coming in. Maybe it's a little bit bad timing, Christmas around the corner, a lot of expense for a lot of people, a lot of families. So maybe it's probably badly timed, which is why when we set it up, we tried to listen to people. And when we set up Great British Bowls, myself and Jackie, what we wanted to be is transparent all the way through. Because I'm very aware there's been other organisations set up in the past that have tried to be a little bit way out there, like us, tried to be offering that big prize money. And we all know what happened, unfortunately. They brought the money in and the people or the person ran away with the money. So we always knew that was going to be a tricky stumbling block. So what we did when we set up the new website, we tried to offer secure ways of payment. So don't transfer X amount of money to this private bank account. You can do it through Apple Pay. We even went through lots of series of PayPal security, and there's a lot of that. We did set up ways of doing it installments. So I appreciate it's a lot of money for a lot of people. It's a lot of money. But when you break it down, £100 a person for a weekend away, 7 games of bowls. I think there's, if you won the whole thing, £12,000 for winners. It's that gamble, isn't it? About if you fancy yourself, you go for it. And on this occasion, I kind of knew it was probably going to be a lot to fill 128. I was hoping to maybe get about 70. We're nowhere near that at all. Nowhere near. So I was speaking with Jackie, is there a way of doing things, or do we take it on the chin? Do we listen to some of the feedback? And we've decided we're going to cancel it. So the clubs are already aware, and the people that have entered have already had a full refund. That's been given. I must like to say that. And then what we'll do, we'll take it on the chin, we'll regroup, and we'll look at something else. I'm not one of these where I'd spit my dummy out and we're not going to do it again. Let's look at how things work. Quite a lot of good feedback. The main thing is it's generated a lot of conversations, but maybe we've not quite got pricing structure right, maybe not quite got the time of entry right just before Christmas. What I didn't want to do is leave it too late, where you say, okay, people can pay after Christmas if they want to pay it all up front, and then let the clubs down last minute where they've saved the whole green for 2 days. And then I've got to go back to them and say, I'm really, really sorry. I just can't give you the business, if you want to call it the business, the guaranteed income behind the bars. I can't do that. So at some point, you've got to swallow the self-pride and do the decent thing. And I do believe, even though it's a shame, I'll take all the critique on the chin. I really will.
I mean, fair play to you, Jason. We've always sang your praises to try something new, and it's just unfortunate that it hasn't come off. I know that was the BPL got about 24 franchise or something, and they pay about, I'm probably guessing about 4 figures, maybe 5 figures to get a franchise.
So when I part of the PBA, I actually looked, I thought, well, I didn't really understand how it all worked, but I thought, is there a way of getting the two organisations to work together? So I actually inquired, look, how much is it to work on this franchise system?
Yeah.
And people be amazed, actually, how much it costs to enter those franchises. It's far more than I'm asking, far, far more. But this is why what they do is really, really good. But again, because it's run as a business, it's totally different. And the reason why it looks fantastic, and they've got them fabulous television screens, haven't they, behind? Yeah. I mean, if I'm being totally honest, some of the scoring system I don't understand. It's all heavily reliable on the iPads or the Samsung devices. It's great. It's something new. It makes every player, every bowl worth a point. But from my side of it, and I might be looking at this wrong because I'm not involved, but I just find it hard to follow. So I kind of wanted to try and offer people something similar, but make it slightly more easy. Because we looked at all this about, I had some very expertise help from, behind the scenes, thinking, well, can I do that as well? Can I do in the triples and the pairs, the lead and the second, the triples, are scoring points as we go along? Although I'd like to do that for the first one, I thought I'm just making it really, really complicated. Yeah, there's a way of doing things, but this is where I think when you look at the Australian comments, I mean, I tap in and tap out of lots of bowls for my own development, and I just feel like people in Australia are a little bit more positive. And I just feel in the UK, not just the UK, but Northern Hemisphere alone, but I just feel when you're looking at comments, there's a lot of negativity. And some of the main comments I've had for this one is, as I expected, where's all the money going? I expected it, and I answered the questions. Why are you making a profit? Well, I've always been honest and open with that. You can't invest if you don't make a profit. People will take £100 and pay out £100. There's a need for that. But how do you invest to make anything better? You can't. The money's not there. And this is where we kind of come across a very tricky stumbling block. Although we're being honest and open, people need to buy into it. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think that the problem with the UK trying to get something off the ground like that is, like you've said on one of your posts, the UK has got to be self-funded? Each competition has got to be self-funded. Australia, they've got sponsors left, right, and centre. They've got sponsorship days with people. They'll come out and say, "Yeah, we love to have this in the UK. We love to have this." But as the three of us know, and you know particularly, Jason, the people aren't queuing up, knocking on the door, wanting to sponsor these tournaments. So you've got to get the money from somewhere, which is why the entry fee was the £100, the £500, and people's gone like that, because they've never seen anything in the UK. I just think that's probably the biggest stumbling block that the sport in the UK has got. It ain't got the money.
That's correct. And people there's lots of things wrong with bowls in the UK, in the Northern Hemisphere. Let's look at that. But if we focus on what's wrong, let's try and spin it the other way around. One of the other questions is, have you approached sponsors? As you know, I approach sponsors all the time. Airline contact, railway contact, big companies. And those that will actually entertain you. You send them clips and they look at clips. Oh, look at that. That's a great game. Look at that. And all they focus on is the negative comments, because there's so many. They'll spin a negative on the best game of bowls you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I remember speaking to one of the guys that I had numerous meetings with, and they were looking at the view was, why should we take a punt on a sport we don't know, when looking from the outside in, the people that have played the game don't support their own sport. Now, this is the issue we have. There's a fine line between people having a genuine point, a valid point about how the sport needs to move or certain things need to change, but it's not good for people looking in. That's the problem. I like to always try and find the positive on it. But really, they need to look at, in bowls, because we are where we are, we can make someone's money go a lot further than most other sports. So if you want to sponsor a sporting event for snooker, it's going to cost you an awful lot of money to sponsor a snooker event. We can give them the same amount of, let's call it airtime. We can give the same amount of airtime for an awful lot less money, an awful lot less risk, but we need to somehow work together about how we just work better as bowlers. We all know there's issues, and that's why now I have my issues with certain things and certain organisations and certain ways of doing things. But you just got to be smarter, because I look at it from the other way, thinking people are looking in, thinking, why? Why are we going to take a risk on people that not supporting their own sport? And that's the problem we're always going to have, I think.
Devil's advocate, I would say, from players supporting the sport, you've only got to look at national entries, and I think you said it earlier on, you get a lot of players who will continue to play for their 10th, 11th, 12th national title, because there's just a drive there and they will support those. from a sponsor's point of view, I mean, touching back on Australia, their bowls clubs are pretty much casinos. You'll walk in and I think is it Keno? The numbers thing that basically people are buying these, like, it's a bit like our lucky 49s or our lottery over here, so to speak. You pick X amount of numbers and there is constant draws in clubs on the TV screens, and that is just constant revenue for them. So you'll see, and I'm pretty sure I've seen on the sponsors boards, Keno support and sponsor a lot of these competitions. And the old saying is, you never find a poor bookie. You're never going to get that over here. You're never, ever going to get the bookies aren't going to back a sport that, let's be honest about it, is just one of the smallest pools for them to get involved in, because you've got horse racing happening every day, you've got football happening every day right across the world, you've got all of these major sports where people are going on there and they'll basically, they'll bet on who's going to score the next goal, blah, blah, blah. Bowls is never going to be like that. So it's just not appealing to bookies to actually get involved and do that. And the only sponsor you're going to get, from our point of view, in this country, because you've hit the nail on the head, a lot of clubs run them as clubs. They're not businesses, although they need to think that way and start to do that. But it's going to be those sponsors that purely and simply see a benefit of their name being attached to the sport. And that is your funeral companies, that is the companies that we've seen in the past that will benefit because there is a business there for them. It's a business model that, and whether we like it or not, unfortunately, that's just the state of play in this country. And I just think in Australia, you watch the UBC and you watch the BPL, and it tends to be the majority of them all the elite players. You don't see many of the sort of grassroots players. You'll see the odd ones joining new teams now and again. It's the same people over and over again that you see, which is another similar complaint about what we get about our World Championships. I just feel that was maybe where the size of your fives was probably going to fall down, because you were going to get 20 top teams. Let's just reel a team off that I could probably think of: Tolchard, Walker, Chesney, Louis Rideout, here, somebody else. When it gets down to that next level, your county top stroke club bowler who look at that and go, do I put me 100 quid in, 500 in total, to test myself against them boys, or do we just let them get on with it? Unfortunately, I think the mentality at this stage is probably going to be, you let them get on with it, because we're probably just going to get absolutely butchered by a five like that, which is hence why they're winning national titles left, right and centre. I think there's a place for it, Jed, without a shadow of a doubt. Maybe just has to be targeted at those top level players at the moment. Yep. And I credit you for what you do, because, like I say, it's something different for people, but I'm just not sure your 80% of your non-elite top county bowlers downwards are going to pitch that type of level in without getting that sponsor or club paying for the end. It is a shame that it hasn't worked. There's an alternative that probably comes in the future, but you've hit the nail on the head. If you don't try, you'll never find out. So at least you've given it a go, which is credit to yourself.
And the best thing about it is I've had lots of feedback. I mean, Jackie and I have been working hours and hours and hours on this. So there's a lot of work going behind the scenes. But what we do is all the constructive comments, we make notes. There's a lot of good comments, people calling me an idiot, people calling me delusional, and you just take it on the chin. It doesn't really bother me, you just carry on. But like you say, we'll find a happy medium. I still think as a sport, we're just still a bit too cheap to, whether you run it as a club or a business, the club still needs to make money. So look at my club Outdoors. I mean, we're talking about people playing at county level and national championships. I'm a bit bored of it, to be honest, but because I don't have an indoor facility near me, I choose to still play in it, because I've got two outdoor greens within 10 miles. So I can quite easily go there and still actually play a little bit of bowls, particularly not an event I want to really, it doesn't really bother me, but at least it gets me out playing with my mates, having a bit of a laugh. And I do it because it's there. So I get it. And I do think there'll always be a need for that. But I still just think there's something in between that if I can just find the right mix of the in-between, we'll have something. Do you know what I mean? And it might not be something amazing. It might not be, worldwide. But I just feel there's something in between, because I've been playing bowls now 42 years. Edit that to 22 years.
Oh, fart alert.
I know, but really, if you look at it, since I was, first got picked to play in the under-25 team at, 17, there's nothing changed. No. Since I was 17, 16, 15, 14, there's nothing out there. Yes, we've got various one-day events, so, £1,000, £1,500, and that's great. That's great. If you want to play in those events, that's great. But there's nothing exciting. There's nothing else different out there. I'm gonna carry on. I will find the happy medium. There's got to be something where we can offer just something slightly different.
And I think it still all goes back to the lack of money in the sport in the UK, mate. I think that's all roads lead to that, mate. And
yeah, and people have gripes about people earning money from the sport. That's where we need to be. We need to be a business, whether people agree with people's salaries or not. If you're going to get to a point where, and I've been here a few times, where you work and work and work and work and work, and you sacrifice maybe your own game to a certain point, but at some point, when you keep getting knocked back, there's an element sometimes of resentment coming in, or you start to despise the sport, that you're really working hard to try and offer something different. And I don't want to fall into that category. Do you know what I mean? I still want to, like, this has been a bit of a knock. It's a personal knock. It's nothing else.
No.
But it won't stop me, because I want to just try it. Okay, let's work on it. Let's work on the positives, but more so, let's work on the negatives, and we'll regroup.
Good to hear. And there is positives in it. And just like you say, what negatives were coming anyway. So
I knew. I knew.
Just take the positives, mate, and move on. And I know that you've come back even better than this little knock that you've had here.
Yeah. We'll see. There's lots of things. We'll just keep trying different things. At the end of the day, all it costs me is my time and Jackie's time. We've got Rink 66 with us. They've been great, by the way. I must say, Rink 66 have been absolutely fantastic with us behind the scenes. Fantastic. They're working, morning, noon, and night to help me with the website and products and shirts and designs. So they're absolutely great. Jackie's been great. She's another lady of the game that just wants to make a difference. Do you know what I mean? Puts a lot. And if it just costs me my time and effort, that's good. You know what I mean? Not, at the end of the day, no one's lost out. It's not worked. Everybody that's shown me support's got their money back. Yeah. It's not really cost anything. It's cost me a few transaction fees, but hey ho, we will do it again.
Finish on that as well, Jason. We've said it time and time again. You'll be damned if you do, and you'll be damned if you don't. And that is just par for the course. I said it last time. You could come up with the best thing that's ever happened to the sport, and people will still complain that it's not better than what the best thing is for the sport. So keep trying, keep going. Credit for that. And people don't appreciate it. They don't appreciate it. I think the days of losing sleep over or worrying about what people say or what they do is long gone. People are entitled to their opinion, fair enough, but you can have that opinion if you get off your backside and try something yourself and do something. Don't just use words to have a go at people, because that gets nobody anywhere.
And that's the big thing, I think, David, as well, isn't it? I always say, give me whatever criticism you want, but please make it constructive. But at least it's different when you're trying to do something. I mean, if the sport had another 20 of us, without sounding big-headed, because I don't want to be big-headed, but if the sport had a lot more people that put time and time again. I mean, Richie turns up at PBA events, doesn't he, at 7 o'clock in the morning. He staple guns himself to a seat till 12 o'clock at night. And he'll still get comments like, "You've not said the format, you've not updated the draw, your score's wrong, your colours are wrong, your camera's wrong." God forbid he takes a sip of tea, but they enjoy it. And although the negatives are very easy to look at, and sometimes they can be quite hurtful, they really can, because that's just being human. But then you just look at the positives, and what you do with that Wrong Bias podcast was just two guys having a bit of a laugh. Look where it is now, and that's what the sport needs.
But that's the thing. You always hear the noise from the people who complain, but the ones who are happy don't say anything because they don't need to say anything. So the ones that do always stick out. But we've said it. It's a minority, and like I say, if they come up with something themselves and try something, then criticise us all you want. But if you didn't, move along. But good crack, mate. Good to catch up, and I'm sure something will materialise in the future. Good afternoon, Jason. How are you doing?
Afternoon. Yeah, I'm doing fine. Yourselves?
Not too bad, pal. Not too bad. We've got your older twin brother in the screen next to you. You can probably see him. See him.
Yeah.
We've got a giant marrow fat pea in the top corner.
I'm going to ask you two questions, Jason, right? And there's a reason for doing this, right? So all I want you to say is yes at the end of it, right? So does Richie look like a marrow fat pea?
Yes.
Second question is, are you feeling great about winning the Scottish Open?
Yes.
There's our title, Richie. The banks that likes to say yes.
Oh, Give our man.
Straight in. We've got you on, Jason. Every Christmas we have a little bit of a look at the World Championships. It would be remiss of us beforehand just to obviously first of all congratulate you personally on the podcast for your success at the Scottish Open. You've been without doubt one of the most consistent WBT bowlers over the last couple of years, going so close in the World Championships against Jamie. What was your thought process after that final? Obviously, it must have been a massive disappointment. Did you take it as a confidence thing, qualifying as a PBA qualifier and getting to the final, and then obviously the next step is trying to hold your own in the top 16? What was your thoughts?
It was really quite, especially like the first couple of days after the losing the final. It was quite hard to take, being so close and just losing out in the last. Well, I guess in both sets it was kind of down to the last couple of bowls, but just was on the wrong side. But I think kind of as time went past, I started to look back on it more positively. But I think what I tried to say to myself was, I think it was actually a golf professional at the golf club I used to play at. He said to me, I should start enjoying the journey, or enjoying the process, enjoying the tournaments, rather than if you don't enjoy it when you get beat, there's maybe no point in taking part.
You two getting to the final, I think, was a massive injection of positivity for the sport, because it gave everybody out there who take part in these PBAs and put the time in and put their own money into these competitions.
Yeah, I think it's got to give everybody out, all the bowlers out there, some belief or confidence that anything's possible. Put in the time and effort and commitment, I suppose, that you can do it.
And obviously, from your own point of view, Worlds didn't go probably as planned for what you wanted last year. But one thing I'll say about you, Jason, when I've been at venues wherever the competitions are, I don't think I've seen many people put as much time in on the rinks as what you do. I mean, crikey, I'm bored after about 3.5 minutes, and you're on there for like 3.5 hours, just obviously putting your time in and getting your preparation right. Is that all part of that preparation? Do you like to put as much time in and work the rinks out as you can?
Yeah, I think it's just the way I am. I just like, that's kind of part of my preparation for events, is putting in the time and practicing on the rinks and getting to know the rinks, and also just working on my own delivery and different shots. And I think it gives me the confidence, if I'm doing it before the game, that I can turn up in the game and know that my game's there when it come to the match scenario.
Did you feel good going into that Scottish Open? Obviously, before the win, did you feel you were in good nick?
Not really, no. I didn't feel like I was playing as well. Certainly not in other competitions. Haven't been playing well this season. As you say, the practice, being off work and just being able to concentrate on the tournament when I was there, putting in the time on the rink, and maybe I just clicked that week.
After that event, the amount of people just in my own club alone who basically made comments about how well you played, and that you were a complete deserved winner of that tournament, because I think consistently through every round you were outstanding.
So, mate, what's it like to be are you number 2 bowler in the Banks family now? Because obviously your mum's number 1.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it depends which one of us you ask.
Well, let's call us number 2.
I don't know.
Your dad's definitely last now.
He's bound to be. Yeah, he's slipping down.
And of course, that's your first mistake, Richie. You don't give the Banks an option. They take forever to decide on anything. There was two pairs places came up on the reserve list for the PBA pairs. So I knew they were both playing. So I rang them and said, there's 2 pairs places. Let me know who's playing with who, and I'll put you in the draw. It took them about 3.5 weeks to decide.
And it's worse when we're bowling together.
But I've got a quick question, Jason. So having the luxury and the honour of commentating on some of the great games, I've seen you elsewhere, being part of the England selection team. So, I mean, when you've always been a great player because you've come from that pedigree. But I think until probably maybe 3-4 years ago, I always thought your game was a little bit more, slightly more conservative, relying maybe on the draw and the slightly overweighted shot. And then all of a sudden, 3 years ago, you arrived at an event and you just produced this absolute huge driving shot. I mean, and you have got this driving, and for me, it just seems to come out of nowhere. But it's when you see people drive as hard as you drive, people normally lose the accuracy. But your accuracy over the last 3 years has been absolutely tremendous. I've not seen that in any of you've played.
Yeah.
Where's that drive come from? Is that through getting to a certain level and then mixing with the higher profile players that have that drive? Where's it come from?
I think I said at one point, I think I was watching the game on YouTube between Willie Wood and Peter Bellis in the final of the World Bowls. And I was just watching Peter Bellis' technique was his driving, and I said to myself, I'm going to try and copy his style. So just with watching like Sir Peter Bellis and maybe a couple of others, their technique with the drive, I just kind of put in time just practicing it over and over, getting better at the technique. And previously I used to just, when I played a weighted bowl, I would just play a similar technique to my drawing delivery. But now I've got the completely different techniques. So, and it seems to be quite handy. It's a useful shot to have in games.
I think it's done you really well. I think because the way the sets play, especially on the portable rink, I think that's the turning point, because you've always been there or thereabouts. I think sometimes when you're a right old mess, sometimes you see it time and time again, and David will vouch for this, you see people falling into the trap of playing what's right for 95% of the greens, but it's not particularly right for that green. I remember being in the commentary box when you first produced that drive, and I was absolutely amazed, thinking, where on earth has that just come from? Because it was like, it wasn't kind of like building. It's like you say, it's like you'd just gone away for a few months and come back, and all of a sudden this big drive there. But you're so accurate, which you don't really see so many times, because it's a big drive, a very big drive.
I think it's also just with doing it more and more, you kind of learn when is the good and bad times to use it. Because now that I've got the bigger speed, the bowls tend to react a lot different now to the speed that I drove at before. So you can get completely different results. Anything can kind of happen when you're coming up with the bigger speed. So yeah, it's just getting the experience with knowing kind of when's good and bad times to use it, because it can be useful and sometimes kind of up against it or your shots against, or it can be useful when you're got good position as well.
Did Australia play a part in that as well, Jason? Obviously, you had a little bit of time over there, and it certainly benefited my drive. I was a little bit of a powder puff drive at times. I would always play that 2 yards overshot, and I was a little bit wary of playing the full out runner. But when I went across to Australia, because that's pretty much what they do, draw or smack, I came back and I just found that it sort of appeared in my game as well, and I started quicker than what I used to. So I just wondered whether Australia played a part in that as well.
No, not really for me. I don't think I was over there long enough playing sort of back end to get that experience over there, but it was more just over here, just by myself, kind of just practicing at my club.
JP, you were fine. You'll get your Jack Eye on Heaton Hall, wouldn't it?
Well, that's just playing a draw. I made a note of that on my pad. So when David's playing at Potters, he's playing a powder puff.
A powder puff fire from Bolty.
I wish people could see the videos. It's saying powder puff whilst stroking a little dash and.
It's a shame it wasn't white as well. Mr. Bolt, you're going to have a powder puff drive, are we?
Oh, Mr. Moneypenny.
This is what
you've changed, David. You've changed.
I keep saying this to Farquhar, I keep saying, Christ, man, you're about 43 stone and you've got a right powder puff fire. Just get through it, man. Smack it.
Jason, what's your big ambition in the sport?
I suppose winning a world title would be good.
You fancy the Commonwealth Games? You think you'll have a sniff in that or not?
I'm not sure how with this new format. Heard it being indoors or whatever, but I don't know how it's going to pan out. So I would obviously love to be part of it in the next one or any others in the future. But it's just good that bowls is still included.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll wait and see.
Interesting concept, isn't it? Like Jason just said, it's so important for our sport to be there in the Commonwealth Games. But 3 players, it's tough, isn't it? Is it singles and pairs, maybe? I don't know. But the other interesting thing is, because it's an indoor event, it'd be interesting to see how the outdoor authorities mix with the indoor authorities, because surely they're going to want the best for the country, aren't they? Yeah. So I think it's really important. I mean, we all have our own opinions. I could think of my 3 from England. I could probably think of my 3 from Scotland as well. But it's got to be overall. It's difficult, isn't it? It's going to put people in very difficult positions, I think, and it's going to be a shame for those that lose out.
Yeah, it will be. It'll be interesting to see if this kind of opens up to a new sort of spectrum of players, because there's a lot of players that only play indoor or don't play so much indoor? Or be interesting just to see how it affects who's involved in it going forward.
Well, like you say, if you don't play outdoor bowls, for example, in any country that's involved with the Commonwealth Games, but you want to get picked, if you're not a member of that authority, can you get picked? It's difficult, isn't it? Are you allowed to get picked? Will you get picked? It's difficult. Very difficult.
Question. Yeah.
I want to be a selector.
Certainly be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's competition time. And I'm just going to say this is the second time I've done this because Mr. Mackay obviously hasn't got his yellow post-it notes on his microphone because he did press record. We've recorded 40 minutes of this podcast already.
Pass me my rifle. Unbelievable.
Thanks as always to Paul's Bear Direct. Thanks so much for your support. And they're providing the voucher. So we're doing a bumper one for Christmas. So it'll be a nice little start of the new year. We've got a £75 voucher. And the question is, we mentioned in our conversation earlier that hasn't been recorded, but will be recorded again shortly. We hosted a Premier Threes competition at South Sale. For those who would have watched it, all we want to know is who won the final. Boo, boo, boo. Beat me in the final. All you need to do is drop us a line on our Facebook page as per. All I would say is just recommend going on, having a look at the videos because it was a really good night, great atmosphere. And yeah, drop us that answer, who won the final, and you'll go onto the Wheel of Steel for the £75 voucher. Let's move on to the World Championships. So me being as researched as what I always am, I haven't got a clue who you played, Jason. Who have you got?
Is that from Malaysia?
It's not a nice opener for you. You know, there's very few easy games, but Malaysia are a bit of a powerhouse in the world now, and that's, you know, you've got the advantage of the portable rink, but probably easier qualifiers to play in the nicest possible way.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think it'll be a hard game because you can see how high up he is in the new World Bowls Series rankings. It's definitely going to be a tough opening game for me, so I'll just have to be on it from the beginning, I guess.
I mean, you'd have been far better off getting me because that was you guaranteed into the second round.
No, I wouldn't say that.
World Championships. Mr. Mackay, you're going to have to fill in the gaps here because I haven't, to be honest with you, I can't even remember looking at the draw. So
there's some good ties. I mean, obviously, Mr. Hartley's got Jamie Walker. Mr. Bolt's got Alex Marshall. So Alex is booked in for an extra fortnight. Les Gillett's got the New Zealand kid, so he could go out. Les, now that he's not playing ball, he's only booked in for a week.
All right, but all right.
The one thing that I would like to see, I mean, the qualifiers from the UK end, from the PBA side, really good, top quality qualifiers. I'd like to see them get through a few rounds because since we've been doing the podcast, I've always shouted out, get the top seeds out, get the top seeds out. As Jason said in the past, the top 16 are in the top 16 for a reason. When you watch them on the UK Open, the Scottish Open, and you watch them play at Potters, they're not in the top 16 for no reason. They're absolute class on the grass. But I just hope this year that, and I'll stick my neck on the line, I'll say another qualifier will win it.
Okay.
Don't take offence, Jason.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll hold you to that.
In the pairs, you with Mr. Stepney?
Yeah, with Mike this year, so I'm looking forward to that.
Did you get picked with Mike, or did you manage to pick, or which way? I can't remember which way they do it, yeah.
Yeah, I just kind of said to Mike, do you fancy going for it in the pairs this year? So he said...
I cannot believe Foster's binned you for Tatty. I mean, what have they ever done? What have they ever done?
I know.
And you're in the mixed pairs as well. Now, Davey, there's no pressure on the lad in mixed pairs because he's playing with our Beth Reaver, the niece of Alex Marshall. You get beat there, he's going to knock you. You're under pressure before you get on the green, mate.
Yeah, I better be getting my practice in before that game.
Predictions from the 3 years. Jason's going to go for Jason, obviously. Oh, JP.
Oh, go to David first.
Oh, David. David doesn't even know he's in the draw. He only knows his cell.
I'm going to go for Alex. Sorry, David.
Jesus Christ.
You always succumb to the 15 roast dinners before you play. Sorry.
Can you edit that prick out?
Say that. I'm going for Alex.
Well, it's not a bad bet. It's not a bad bet. Well, I'm gonna go out. I'm not gonna go for anybody else but myself.
You go for yourself.
Well, the best bridesmaid in the whole world.
Well, I always say law of averages. Looks got to change sometime.
Even grandson at the side. of you.
I know it's as tough as anything. At the end of the day, I've played well over the years and still lost, but I'm certainly not going to go down there and tip somebody else because I ain't going down there to lose. So I'm going to tip myself, and I'm wrong every year anyway, so I might as well be wrong this year as well.
And Jason, you're going to tip yourself, mate. Be confident, mate.
Just see how it goes.
You know what I find interesting about the World Championships this year? So I'm really pleased Malaysia are in it. I think Malaysia are one of the more professional countries. I think they're a really professional country comes to bowls. They're well organised. You know, the youth players, they're well drilled. We were out there against some of the youth players that are now in their elite. When I went out to Hong Kong and China, we played against them. Practice, they're really, really good. What I'm going to find really interesting is what we've not had in PBA, WBT, Indoor World Championships is what we see on the outdoors is a coach on the side. They will come with a coach. I'm almost certain with it because that's the way their structure is. It'd be interesting to see how it works against the shot clock. So really, there's not going to be a lot, but how will the rules reflect having a coach? Are they going to be allowed to be at the side of the rink? Are they going to be allowed to talk to the player? Are they only allowed to interact with the player during the sets? I find that it's going to be a challenge for the WBT, but I find it an interesting and a positive challenge because it'll make the sport look really well. When you look at Wimbledon, they always pan up to the coach or the coaching team, don't they? There's a coach. How it works will be interesting, but I think that's what's needed because people never really talk about coaching behind the scenes because whether people don't agree with it or, you know, they're not willing to buy into it. You know, certain countries, it works really well for them. So for me going there, I always enjoy commentating there anyway because I get to see the best in the world, but that will be another element even I've not seen before at the Indoor Championships. And that's going to be really interesting to see what effect that has. So obviously Jason will have to deal with that because, you know, will that slow play down? At what point is that allowed to interact? How will that affect Jason? I think it's really, really interesting. Very interesting. But I think it's a positive. Well, I think for the sport, it's a positive. It might not be for Jason.
I agree with you completely, Jason. When I discussed when obviously Malaysia had the entry, I've said for a long, long time, I don't understand why we don't have more individual coaches, players. And finances comes down to it again, because obviously tennis players pay their coaches and all the backroom physios and all of that. But you've still got to go on the mat and you've still got to deliver the ball yourself. A coach giving you a little bit of a tip of tactics or whatever it is brings a completely new element to the game, I think. In some cases, I think it's just a good thing to walk over to your coach and for them to just give you a, kick up the backside or a pat on the back and just keep saying, keep doing what you're doing, keep it that length, whatever it might be. And I just think there should be more of it. And I agree with you. I think it will be intriguing at this point where the sport is. I don't also think it should be intriguing. I think it should be part of the sport now.
At the end of the day, it's like a game of chess, isn't it? Everybody has the same amount of time to play their bowl or their piece. And I think as long as the nominated, it's going to have to be a nominated person. As long as that nominated person, has that in mind, I think the issue will be between the two sets. I think there's going to have to be a time limit as to at what point do you just crack on, because we have too much dead time in the sport anyway. I think there's going to have to be maximum 2 minutes, because especially when it goes live on BBC, we can't afford the sport to be having that dead air time, because there's a lot of dead air time when you send in a jack. Yes, there's a skill in it. Does it bring anything to the sport? Probably not.
Like tennis, there's ways and means of doing that, because in tennis they're not actually allowed to interact with the coach.
Have you nominated Richie for your coach?
Yeah.
I'll come back on that one.
Pal.
This is why I had a powder puff drive, because I used to watch him on TV and watch his drive. Just Peter Bellis, I watched G.
It was on Etch a Sketch.
Did you? Oh, Jason came over Alexei, because he absolutely smashed me in the ground. Richie, you've gone for a qualifier, so you've gone 50% of the field.
You can't just go for a qualifier. That's not.
He does it every year, man. He does it every year.
You can't just go for a qualifier. That's not fair.
Then the best part about it is, if a qualifier doesn't win it, he goes, "Oh, I just missed out."
Right, well, I'm changing mine. My prediction is top 16.
Oh, controversial.
Fair's fair, sweet cheeks.
He's me and Jason on the fence, news at 10.
We're going with Jason, who's not prepared to back himself because he doesn't want to put the extra pressure on himself, because he's enjoying the process, and he's also not going to big anybody else up because he doesn't want to give them a boost before the game. So we're going with that one, and I'm going with myself, and I'll see you all when I'm in my house in the second round watching on the telly.
I'll see you at the dinner table crying into your sponge pudding and custard for the 15th night.
Jason, you should know by now, one thing I never do is cry into a sponge pudding. I will have a big smile on my face and I'll be eating it like a pig in a trough. Well, it's been great, guys. Jason, you're in a great position now in that top 16. So I wish you all the best, unless you meet me at Potters. And if you do, and lucky.
No, thanks, Dave, and thanks, guys, for having me on. It's been great. I'd also just like to say thanks for all the work you guys do for bowls as well, the podcasts and also the streaming of the PBAs. I think it's really great what you guys do and make it light-hearted as well, which is good for people watching. So
thanks, mate.
Yeah, keep up the good work.
As always, I give Mr. Mackay all the credit for that. I just talk crap. He does all the hard work. So, yeah, but thanks though, mate. It's appreciated. It's Richie at the beginning of this gave some stats, which 750,000 views on the stream over the years that we've done. It's not a bad little figure, so it's going all right. And credit to the big fat P in the corner there. He's doing wonders. He is. Thanks for coming on, guys. Have a fantastic Christmas, Jason Banks. That is, if history has got anything to go by appearing on this podcast, you generally win something quite sharp after it. So you've got every chance in this world champion. Best of luck. And
good to hear. Thanks, guys.
No problem at all, pal. You take care and have a nice Christmas. All the best to the family as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Cheers, Jason. Thanks, mate. See you there, mate.
Parkinson, all the best to yourself and Grant as well, and the family as well.
Thanks very much. And to you guys. Thanks for nothing. Bye then.
Have a good Christmas, mate. Ta-ra. Now, during the show, you may have heard Boley taking the water out of me for not hitting record. Now, God works in mysterious ways. I hope Boley hasn't told Jason the wrong date. I'll tell you, mate. I don't think he's going to come on now, is he? I think he's forgetting.
I've sent him another message, right? You're right.
He might be stuck. He's probably, we'll do with what we've got and see if he comes back without me, and we'll sort him out, can't we, sometime? Maybe.
Well, we could always get him on tomorrow when Jason's coming on. Man, what a dickhead. He did say Friday afternoon.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Boxing Day show, and what an absolute ball ache this one's been. Unbelievable. I get panned for not pressing record. Our guest coming on, Jason Banks. Yes, it's all arranged for Thursday, David. Yes, no problem. 3:30 Thursday. It turns out, are you ready? Are you braced? Friday, the following day. And all the crap that I've had of this fella over the last 20 minutes. And he's got the wrong date for the wrong guest. And he's getting it. He's getting it.
It's a lovely day, isn't it?
Are you sure we've had 36,000 people listening to this rubbishy podcast? Give me strength.
Happy Christmas.
Well, there we go, folks. Boxing Day done, dusted. For the second time. Unbelievable. You had to be there to believe it. Many thanks to Jason Parkinson, where he does a lot for the sport. Just unfortunate his latest venture hasn't come off. Jason Banks, great coming on. Good bit crack, mate. From a personal point of view, what's your ambition for 2025, mate?
I'll be honest with you, the England selection gave us a real boost. I must admit, I was probably going through the motions again. A huge boost. I'm looking forward to the series. I'll just plug on, mate. Keep plugging on until I get to the point where I feel my game's not good enough anymore. I'll keep plugging in. You never know. One day.
That's many years away.
Where my knees and back's feeling. It's not, I'll tell you.
From a podcast point of view, 2024 has been very good to us. We've only done 5 shows. We do realise it's like one every 2 months. But it's still going well. 6,500 downloads, 261 minutes of utter rubbish. And the big figure since we started in 2019 when we met up at Shales and says, you fancy doing a podcast? 36,000 downloads, which is still mind-blowing for me. We've streamed 124 games this season. We started a YouTube channel in 2021. We've knocked out 537 videos, and we've had how many views, mate?
750,000, I believe, mate.
There you go. 750,000, 381, 82. Somebody's just watched as we speak. Unbelievable. Great stuff. And 2,000 subscribers. Now, when I say subscribers, all you do, you just click on the subscribe button on the YouTube channel, and it flags up when we are going out live. There's no payment, nothing, not whatsoever. It will alert you when we're going out. Our Facebook page, well, 6,500 followers. Absolutely tremendous. There's quite a few national government bodies. I haven't got that many for a little outfit that we are. Two lads from the northeast of England. We are chuffed to bits with it. On the back of those stats, many thanks for all your support. Our sponsors, Brilliant Auctions, Rent and Wealth Management, Lean to Succeed, Bullsware Direct, Prentland Precast.co.uk. We hope you all have a good new year. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. As I say, thanks for your support over the last 12 months. I know the podcast hasn't been out so much. It is our little baby. It's where we started with, so we're quite attached to it. It'll not go away for a long time, and we'll do a little bit more streaming. So happy New Year, everybody, and see you later.
Happy New Year, all.
On the 12th day of Christmas, my true love said to me, 12.
Alex Marshall, MBE.
Hey, Nelly.
Izzy Wizzy, let's get busy.
David Corkill.
Balls are balls.
Jason Parkinson.
Hello, this is Alistair Hollis, Bowls England.
Davy Bold.
Tolshard.
Stuffing a turkey. The useless he is.
Nibble on me gherkin. Thank you for listening and hope you've enjoyed the show.
This has been a Dodgy production.